All right, so it seems like we have quorum now, so let's just get started. Welcome back, everyone. So and look at the next slide. So we're going to go to the next slide for oh goodness me.
It's because we.
Wait, sorry about that. The audio is kind of weird. But we'll just go to the first one, which is go to the exact summary, exact report.
It's slide 28, if that's helpful.
Oh, right there. Cool. All right. Sounds good. So I don't think we did mover and seconder. So why don't just do the mover? So it's been moved by President Fagrani. Do I have a seconder for this? I see Councilor Jarman. Okay, cool. So any questions? Well, we technically already asked questions. So any points of debate? All right, cool. So let's do the voting with turning point then. And let's give everyone 2 minutes then. How are the numbers looking like, Lisa?
I've got 26 of 28.
Can we, is it all right if we move on to the next motion then?
Absolutely. That motion passed unanimously.
All right, thanks a lot. Okay, so next up we have motion number 3. So Advocacy Steering Committee terms of reference. So it's already been moved by President Fagrani, seconded by Councilor Chasmar. So now we'll go into the debate period of this motion. So does anyone have any points of debate for this? I don't see, like, it doesn't seem like there's any points of debate.
This is
Go.
can we just capitalize council?
Capitalize council. Okay, cool. I mean, that can be clerical. So
yeah.
well, yeah, we can do that. But yeah, let's just move into voting on turn point then. All right, so how many numbers do we have for the voting?
26 of 29.
All right, let's go ahead and close it then.
That also passes unanimously.
Nice. All right. Motion number 4. So this is the USC budget. So it's already been moved by President Fagrani, seconded by Councilman Paco. do I have any points of debate for this? Councilor Goodson.
All right, I'm just speaking on behalf of Councilor Jack Bradley. I'm just proxying from him, but he wanted me to bring up that this is just me reading off of his proxy form. Let's see. So I would like to bring up, while understanding that Western film is a function of the USC and not tied to the department or program, that the students within the film studies program in the English and writing studies English or writing studies departments of the arts and humanities faculty have not been, to our knowledge, consulted or provided community alternatives to ensuring that there are spaces on campus to promote the culture of this degree or program's community when deciding to end Western film due to it not being cost effective. For that reason, I would like to propose an amendment so that we do further consultation with arts and humanities students, such as the English and Writing Studies Department rep who represents the Film Studies program. The Western Undergraduate Film Society, WFS, under AHS or AHSC, or the A&H Film Studies students who are studying a discipline highly relevant to this USC resource, with the intention to A, better understand their perspectives and potential impact, or B, uncover and explore other areas in which film studies students could continue to be supported and find benefits community spaces relevant to them through the USC to make up for the elimination of the Western film. These consultations can be done in collaboration with the arts and incoming outgoing presidents and counselors, as we share the responsibility to our constituents. If this amendment fails, abstain, or, oh, sorry, that's what Jack's thoughts are there. But Jack just felt that on behalf of the students that he's representing, they feel like they need to, there's a bit more consultation needed there.
All right. If that's the case, Melissa, like from what was just mentioned, I'm guessing that means that like they're making like amendments being proposed on the motion, or is it like they want to like fail the motion and then conduct further consultations before presenting it again?
Just to clarify, my understanding with what Jack and I spoke about is he would like to propose an amendment just to provide more consultation regarding the Western film there.
Okay, all right.
Is it the proper time to propose that amendment right now?
It is, yeah, it is. Just in terms of the wording, is there right if you can like type it out in the chat just so we know what we can insert for the proposed amendment?
Kevin, do you mind if
Yes.
I very briefly clarify what's in the budget? Because I think this comment is based on a misunderstanding.
Okay, sure.
So the first piece about shutting down Western film, the reason we talk about it as a business decision is because we're no longer going to be operating Western film. But that doesn't mean that the McKellar room is going to be off limits to students. So what this change actually does is to the advantage of the students who utilize this space for screening, because now they're not limited by the times available based on Western class schedules and based on Western film schedules. Now they're able to book later into the night. So all the equipment and all the spaces are still 100% available to students for screening. It's just that we're no longer operating it as a revenue generating business service. That's, I think, the first piece I want to clarify. The other piece I want to clarify with respect to consultations is that it is not the USC's responsibility to be doing what a department, a faculty, or the Senate should be doing. If students are in need of screening space in order to fulfill their modular requirements, that is actually a responsibility of Senate. So I would take that back to your senators if there aren't adequate filming spaces. I know new ones opened up in University College when the renovations were complete. So know that that's also available to students. But regarding consultations with counselors and presidents, this budget was brought forward last week, and the expectation was for counselors to review it, I believe, or was it brought forward, sorry, 3 days. So I believe I'm gonna pause for a second. Sorry, I was being corrected. It's been 3 weeks that everyone's had the budget. So there has been time for our counselors and our constituency presidents to bring that feedback back to us. If that was not done proactively, as is the expectation, I don't think that merits a longer consultation period. This budget's really important to get through. So those are the 3 clarifications I wanted to make.
All right. I see Councilor Bislam's arm hand.
Yes, can everyone hear me? Okay, thank you, Kevin. So yeah, I just wanted to echo a bit what Zamir had just said. Also noting that the money allocated to Western Film falls under the corporate budget of things, which is something we as council members should be a bit less concerned about on the whole. But yeah, like Zamir said, removing Western Film and opening up the McKellar room actually provides more control to the students. You know, if students are hoping to organize some sort of film viewing or whatever for their course, they can book that themselves. Different clubs or student bodies on campus can also book the space for their own sorts of events, meetings, socials, screenings, presentations, case competitions, all these things. And beforehand, when we restricted it by only Western Film really presenting things there and then having very limited time slots for other groups to get involved there, it's really been more restricting for the students on the whole. And I think it's also important, lastly, to note that any changes that we make to the budget will likely need to be taken to the board of directors to receive approval as well, especially since this is the corporate side of the budget. And that's just going to delay the entire budget approval process. And there is a hard deadline for when we have to get this budget done and approved. So that's my piece.
All right, thank you very much. Councilor Guts.
Yep. I think that clarifies things greatly. From my understanding, then I would assume that Councillor Bradley would not want to push the amendment anymore. Just clarifying now that that the facilities there will still be possible for student use.
Are there other points to debate?
Thinking because I got.
All right, it doesn't seem as there are any other points of debate. So I guess we can go right into voting for this one then. So we can go to turning point and give 2 minutes for everyone.
I've got 28 of 31.
All right, is it all right? We can close the poll.
Yep, will do. And that passes 93% in favor, 3% opposed, and 3% abstaining.
Thanks a lot. All righty, next motion number 5 is the ASGV policy paper. So it's already been moved and seconded. So do I have any points of debate for this one? Doesn't seem like there's anything, so let's just go straight into voting for this one then.
I'm at 29 of 31. Do you want me to close it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that then.
Passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. All right, and motion number 6, it's transit and pedestrian safety. And that is, well, we're going to the action period. So any points of debate for this one? Seeing as there are none, let's go right into voting for this one then. How's the numbers looking up, Melissa?
I have 26 of 31. 27.
Let's go ahead and close it then.
All right. Passes unanimously.
Amazing, cool. So seems like we got through all the motions for this month's meeting with
Oh,
the.
sorry, Kevin.
Oh,
There
excuse
is
me.
that added motion about
correct.
the,
That is correct. I beg your pardon. Wait, where is it?
It's on the meeting.
Oh, yes.
it's also, if you scroll down, we're still
Yeah.
technically in the first reading section of the slide deck. So if you go
Yeah.
down, I added it into the second reading.
Okay, cool. All right, next, let's go on to the next next slide. Oh, cool. Alrighty, so this is for standing orders of council, in terms of moving the bottom report earlier. So any points of debate for this one? Doesn't seem like there's anything, so let's go on with voting for this one.
I have turning point set up for this one. At 29 of 31.
All right, let's close it then.
That passes 97% in favor and 3% abstaining.
All right, sounds good. Okay, cool. I think now at this point we're done all the motions for this month, so that's pretty good. And let's go on to the floor discussion, because I know there's actually a piece of debate that we want to discuss. Not a piece of debate, but something we want to discuss. And it is regarding campus COVID-19 policies for summer 2022 and fall 2022. So is there anyone who'd like to start off this discussion?
Yeah, I can jump in to start, Kevin. So essentially, we as an executive wanted to kind of get a sense of what counselors' perspectives were around the potential for some of our current COVID-19 policies to shift for the summer term and for the incoming academic term. You may have seen the Gazette published an article a couple of days ago with some information about how other post-secondary institutions in the province, such as McMaster University and Ryerson University, have announced that they will be pausing their mask and vaccine mandates beginning May 1. And Western is currently in conversation among the senior leadership team and with the Middlesex London Health Unit to determine if this is the direction they will be going in. And I anticipate that they will be making some decisions in the next week or so. So I wanted to just hold a little bit of space in case anyone had any feedback that they wanted to share with the executive that we can then forward to the senior leadership at Western. If you don't have anything you'd like to share tonight, that's okay. You can always message me personally. But in case there is anything that anyone would like to share, we just wanted to put it on the agenda. Thank you.
Any hands from anyone? Oh, Councilor Chen.
Thanks. I'm wondering if this discussion encompasses areas around like clubs reopening for next year and whether or not we want to see in-person clubs and that sort of discussion. Thanks.
So this discussion is strictly around Western's COVID-19 policies. We can always, have a different discussion about what the USC may be working on, but I'm particularly curious about feedback related to Western's policies so that I can then elevate that as Western makes decisions about what they want to do related to vaccine and mask mandates in the coming week.
Over it.
Hi, Sienna. I think one of the biggest concerns that I've been hearing from music students in particular is just a lot of confusion around isolation and when you're self-isolating versus self-monitoring. And I think that's perhaps a little bit less of the safety measures and more of like once someone is a close contact or once they have contracted COVID. So I'm just wondering if there's any way we can do just looking into that a bit more, because I think a lot of students, at least in my faculty, have been really stressed, especially because so much of what we do is without masks. So I'm wondering if you have any, maybe just even taking note of that, because that's been a really big issue and a big stressor for music.
Yep. Thank you, Norin. Oh, Norin. Thank you, Lauren. I noted that.
Councilor Clark.
Hi, yeah, so a concern that's been shared with me is that if Western does decide to lift its vaccine mandate and mask mandate, whether or not that will affect the new COVID self-report assessment tool or something like that that was put into place if students were required to push an assignment because they tested positive for COVID. So based off what I've heard, students would feel more comfortable if that tool remained in place next year, regardless of whether or not the vaccine or mask policy changes, because that's assuming that isolation periods for COVID positive cases will remain a thing. And so long as those are required, and even if they aren't required, it's still a good tool to have in place because it encourages students to stay home and take care of themselves if they're sick, rather than spreading that to the broader student community.
Thank you so much, Sarah Emily, for sharing that. Just so council is aware, when that tool was introduced, it was introduced with the understanding that it would only be active for this semester. So this isn't actually a tool that is going to continue beyond the end of this term. But that's still good feedback because despite this particular tool not continuing, there still does need to be a mechanism through which students can access accommodation for self-isolation related reasons. So I appreciate that.
Councilor Beltran.
Yeah, thank you. I've got 2 points that I kind of want to bring up here. One of them is, I believe that in the interest for some of our students who are still immunocompromised and Western's position that if you can't attend a course that is not going to be online, that is going to be, that we are an in-person community, that there is some concern as to what that means for any immunocompromised student and to support them, we really should be supporting keeping the mask mandates on for a little bit longer, at least until things are a little bit more normal or safer for everyone. If we had something in place where students had the option to access recordings, then maybe we can consider removing masks. But without that, it's just not safe for a lot of these students. What I would also like to see is removal of the policies where you can't drink fluids when you're in class. I myself have got a condition that makes me very dehydrated very quickly. And having to step away from class is just a burden on my education.
Thank you so much for the feedback. I've noted it all. Appreciate it.
Councilor Blanchard.
Yeah, I would just like to uplift what Councillor Beltran was just saying. I think it's really important to keep all students in mind, especially immunocompromised students, and to be able to make sure that they're able to also access their education. But my suggestion was that just in terms of conversations, if Western is leaning towards getting rid of the mask mandate, making sure that masks are still accessible in all Western buildings for students who are immunocompromised or for students who don't feel comfortable not having a mask in those spaces. But yeah, that was my only comment.
Thank you so much. I've noted that down as well. Appreciate it.
Councilor Chan.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. Another thing that I've heard from students as well is the ending of rapid tests. I heard they just got extended to around August 1st, but students are concerned that next year they might not have access to that. And maybe if Western can either do some supplying of students for that or put some funding and investment to that, that's a good tool to stopping and sort of detecting before. If you could inquire as to whether they can provide that, that would be great. Thanks.
Thank you, Ethan.
Are there any other hands? Okay, doesn't seem there are any. So seems like this marks the end for the 4 discussion period. So thanks a lot for everyone's contributions. Hopefully this will help out with the COVID policies. So let's move on to the next section. There's no new business. Oh, President Fakrani.
Hi. Oh. I almost got Matthew Chasmore voice. I kind of loved it. Okay, so speaking of Matthew, I have a really quick procedural new business item. Essentially, our student representative on the VPSSP hiring committee wasn't able to meet the timelines. They're very, very strict.
So sorry.
Ziana's,
So sorry.
I'm so sorry. Ziana's battling a paper bag. It's kind of funny, but is not able to meet the super strict timelines. And President Chasmar has offered to be on the panel. He already sits on another one. So it's procedural motion. We're just trying to get Matthew officially on the hiring panel for the VPSSP.
All right, so this is all right, cool. Okay, cool. It's a motion. Nice. All right, let's take this. All right, so who's the mover for this one? Is it President Fakrani?
Hi, I'm so sorry. We are struggling with audio. Can you repeat that?
Yes. Who's the mover for this motion?
I'm the mover.
Cool. Do I have a seconder? Oh, I see Councilor Jarman's hand.
I'm
All right.
so sorry.
Cool. All right. Are there any questions for this motion? Cool. Any points of debate? All right, cool. It doesn't seem like there's any points of debate. So let's just do a voting through the emojis. So check for yes, cross for no. Everyone knows the drill by now. All right, cool. So seems like everyone has confidence in Councilor Chasmar for this panel. So I guess we can pass this motion then. Cool. All right, Vanessa, yeah, there we go. Cool. Termination. Now, wow, very cool. All right, so 7:37, just like a Boeing 737. All right, cool. All right, this ends the meeting for now. I'll see you guys. Have a good day. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.